Hmm. Oh, now maybe it'll. Seton, I've just started back up. Oh, are the people going to come back? Allow your viewers to request to join. Okay. Going to do that. Sorry, we had to restart the video because we struggle with things. Anybody like to see my desk? Green button is there. Good. Facebook and I have a love-hate relationship. Typically hate. Yes, it is. Yeah, okay, I see the person button now. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the Murdaugh family, also pronounced Murdaugh, even though it's spelled Murdaugh. And Seton is going to be giving us a little update. So Seton is the co-host of a podcast called the Murdaugh Family Murders, I think. Oh, I see Stephanie's just put up a thing. Murdaugh to turn himself in Thursday. You know, I thought he was in rehab. Note to self, when you're about to get your go to rehab.
All right, we got my daughter. She's like the superstar. She came home just in time.
Look how fast we were.
I know, third time's a charm, but thank you, Sophie.
Don't show me.
I mean, I need her in my life.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She's out the door again, but I told her she had to get home and help me immediately.
I don't know where my people are. They're not bothering me. My husband is good. Yes, my husband is playing tennis after being airlifted Sunday night.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
It is. It's impressive. Let's hope it doesn't come to bite him in the ass later. Seton is here again. Seton, we did this last week, but I think it's on Thursday, a little bit earlier. And I'm already seeing like that Alec is going to turn himself in tomorrow. So tell us what's happened since last Thursday.
Oh my gosh, just a ton of craziness. We know there was an arrest last night or yesterday. So that was the biggest news. There was a lot of, my brain is slightly fried because we've been recording all day. So I just want to pre-warn you. But the news yesterday that there was an arrest made. This has been the first arrest made with any of the Murdaugh stuff that's been going on. So that was big news.
And who was arrested?
So his last name was Smith. He's not related to Stephen Smith. He goes by Eddie Smith. And with court papers filed, there was an affidavit, and it basically said that Alec had spoken to SLED, and they had confirmed that the two kind of worked together to have this kind of suicide plot. Now, Griffith does not say that he actually shot him, but Alec says he does. He admits to disposing of the gun and going there, but he doesn't admit to shooting him.
So what I read, Alec goes up with this elaborate plan. He's got, this guy that's going to shoot him. And all Eddie said is, I'm there and I got rid of the gun.
Right.
So do we think Eddie did the shooting, or do we not think? What do we think?
Well, whoever did the shooting was not a very good shot, because if it was really attempted suicide shot, I mean, he was outside the car inspecting the tire, and then he only had a superficial head wound, according to SLED, although his lawyers maintain that it was a little bit more significant injury than SLED said. But,
And who do we believe? Do we believe the lawyer or the law enforcement agency?
Well, I'm going with the law. I'm going with SLED.
Me too. Yes, I am too. That's always the best bet. Because the lawyer, well, there's a few lawyers. Griffin is one of these lawyers. And I love that Griffin last week is like, he's helped do a composite sketch, but SLED hadn't released it yet because they don't think it's quite right. I was like,
And he wasn't happy with it. There was a lot of Griffin was saying a lot of things, that he was maintaining that it was not self-inflicted and that he had nothing to do with it. And then obviously they went down there. I guess Harpootlian and Griffin went down and met with Alec in this out-of-state detox facility. And I guess he's fessed up and, said that he did have something to do with it. And he was doing this to get some insurance money, $10 million of insurance money to help Buster, is what he says.
Now, one thing and I don't think you've talked about this yet, I am very suspicious that there was not actually $10 million in life insurance money. So I'm married to a criminal attorney, and he has a lot of life insurance money, like maybe $2.5 million, which is a lot to me. Like you had a policy from 30 to 50. Now he has a policy from 40 to 60. So we had some overlap. The second policy that he got at 40, and Alec Murdaugh is older than we are.
Right. He's 50.
It's so expensive.
I think 55.
So to have a policy at 55 for $10 million would mean that he was paying, and he's in terrible shape. My husband, is at the top of the shape plan. I would estimate a policy like that, if you were in good shape, would be $12,000 to $15,000 a year, which and I know he had money, but I'm not feeling it that he had that.
Well, the other thing I thought was really crazy about that was, he said that the suicide provision. So I guess if you have a life insurance policy, if you commit suicide within the first 2 years, then you are not able, because you're not able to get the money because you committed suicide.
Right.
But after that,
right.
You are. And when Harpootlian went on the Today Show this morning, he said that Alec was not aware of the suicide provision, which I also found really weird, because you would think a lawyer would kind of know that information.
Or a lawyer's wife, she might just have it in her handy dandy file cabinet. That's actually school picture proofs that I never returned, but we're not making that up. So you would check that before you went out of your way to get somebody to kill you. Unless you maybe were trying to get somebody to kill you. You were just trying to get somebody to shoot you so that the attention would be taken off you.
Right. I mean, I think that's definitely a possibility. Yeah.
Because Alec said he got out of the car, Eddie got out of the car and shot him. I've never fired a gun in my life, but I feel pretty sure that if you handed me a gun and told me to get out of the car and shoot someone, I think I could do it.
Right. If he's right there and you're right up, and he's just standing there, unless he chickened out or Alec was really the one shooting himself and he decided he didn't want to do it. It's just the whole thing. I think they didn't also anticipate, they went to this rural road that was out in the middle of the nowhere. And I think that they didn't anticipate that church camera being there.
You said that. So then they have to come up with a new story because that person has been caught, right?
Right. Oh, and the other thing that Griffin said that I thought was really, when he was trying to do a spin last week, he said there were some.
Wait, I can't hear you. Yes.
I had to beep them out. So wait, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, you're real low. Hold on, let me try to turn up my phone. The Good Samaritans that came to, he was allegedly in the car with these Good Samaritans.
Yes.
I don't know, my volume is really low right now after Jay tried to call me.
I'm trying to hold my phone up. Hold on.
I don't know why the volume is very low. So I'm going to listen close.
Okay. I can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know why. After I got that phone call, it just seemed really low and I had my volume turned all the way up. I don't know what the problem is, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
What's that?
Okay. Yeah. You can hear me talking and I can hear you talking, which is more important. So you said after the Good Samaritan, you were talking about the Good Samaritans.
Right. So Griffin said that, but then today when Harpootlian went on the Today Show, there was no talk about Good Samaritans that picked him up. So I'm still curious. Are they out there?
Yeah, and don't you think they would have come out of the woodwork by now?
Don't you think what?
I wonder if it was one of the brothers was the good. I wonder if it was one of the brothers was the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, no, I think that could be true too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Alec is turning himself in tomorrow. Is this true?
That's what word on the street is. I think it's true. I think his attorney's going to be on the news tonight kind of announcing that.
So what happened to the opiate addiction? Is that just gone away?
Well, I guess he's gone through detox. Hey, hold on a second. Jay, can you help me figure out how to get my volume up? Hold on. I've got my son helping me get my volume up.
Hey, so you're live on here?
Yeah, I'm live on here. You can't do it. So my volume
We
is
love
working.
See, everybody can hear you. You just can't hear.
I know. I'm
CNN
having a hard time hearing you. After you called, for some reason, the volume went out. I might have to log on and log back in.
Well, you can do
Why
that.
don't you join on the computer?
Well, I don't know how to join. You have to swipe right and swipe left. You can't join on the computer.
We're struggle with the computer.
Yeah, we struggle with the computer.
Maybe you want to try some headphones, maybe?
Yeah, go get me some headphones. All right, he's going to get me some headphones.
Someone was just on Anderson Cooper. Who was that?
Hey, you got to say it again.
Well, it said somebody was just on Anderson Cooper.
Oh. What's his attorney on there? I don't know.
We don't know.
Matt, my podcast partner, is going to be on CNN tonight. So.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's.
You need to be on CNN.
Well, no, I chose to be with you instead.
Oh, that's so nice. I'll go on CNN and I won't talk. I'll just make faces like this.
Do we think Alex shot himself, or do we think that Smith shot him?
Mm-hmm. That's not defamation if I make faces. So one thing that Craig Melvin said on the Today Show I thought was super interesting. He said millions of dollars would buy a lot of opiates.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I don't find it possibly. I would think you would be dead if you spent millions of dollars on opiates. He said that would be a lot of oxy.
Yes. And so the lawyer who, said that he was shot now that he was shot by someone else said, he is a casualty of opiate addiction.
Oh yeah.
And
they're playing.
I don't know about you, Seton, but I have a few people that have become friends that are followers on my blog that have lost children to opiate addiction.
No, it's very scary.
And it's such a real sad, terrible thing. And if he's just like using that to explain away what he's up to, it really pisses me off.
No, that's
honestly.
really wrong, because it's an epidemic and people are dying and people's children are dying. We've actually known several people close to us who've lost children to drug addiction recently. So I'm with you. I find it deplorable.
Crappy. Yeah, it's shitty. Let's just be honest. It's shitty. So I think that's kind of curious. Now, tell us what's happened with the housekeeper. Like as of
this came out today. Well, yesterday there were reports that there was an attorney who was representing the housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, who worked for the family for 25 years, kind of worked in a housekeeper and also sort of like a nanny capacity. And we knew that there was a settlement for $500,000, which was the policy limit of the Murdaugh family home insurance policy. So they settled that for $500,000 plus medical expenses.
The law firm got $166,000.
What's that?
The law firm got $166,000.
Right. So they got a third, which is allowed. The judge did approve that, but I was talking to another lawyer friend. Like if it's kind of a friend and family discount, it's more customary to take less, like maybe like 25%.
Uh-huh.
So they took this money, but then yesterday it comes out that her two sons, who were the heirs to this money, had absolutely no idea. Hold on, I'm putting on earphones to see if this helps my volume.
Okay.
Hold on, my
Yeah,
son's
not
helping
only
me. Here's Jay.
not only
Oh
did they have no
yes,
idea.
that totally helps. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. Now I can hear you great.
Okay. So earlier today, I had said, okay, to you, why didn't they get their money? So I asked my resident attorney, a husband, and I said, tell me, because he does criminal law and does personal injury stuff. And he was like, oh my gosh, when somebody is waiting for money, they literally call me every day. It's like I'm going to shake a tree and the money's going to fall down. He said, I don't understand, one, that they kept the money, and two, how the family didn't know. But I said, I think the family struggled. One of the brothers has special needs. They didn't even know that there had been money brought to the table until the media reporting.
It was really sad. Like they found out about this settlement from the media, and there was some court interaction, because they said that immediately after this, that Alec Murdaugh got him in touch with Fleming, who is consequently a good friend. He used to work for that law firm. He's the godson of Paul, godfather of Paul.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean,
today.
So,
yeah.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah. I sent all the lawyers a Facebook message, and one, there's this great picture of the guy going like this, and I was like, do you want me to use this picture? Because I'm going to if you don't respond. He didn't respond.
Well, I mean, he's been named in the court documents that were filed today.
It ain't no joke when you start talking about fiduciary duty. Like, these people, I mean, I'm sure they've already been reported to the South Carolina bar.
Well,
I mean,
you would think.
Where's the money?
And now SLED says they're investigating. So yet SLED, we've already talked, SLED is spending all their time. They're going to have to hire new people to keep up with the Murdaugh family stuff. Because I think, what is that, 7 things they've got that their SLED is currently working on that have ties to the Murdaugh family.
So Kristen just pointed out, she heard this on the Today Show, which I missed this, that the attorney said that Alec was writing checks to drug dealers.
Yeah, he said that too, which, I mean, I don't have any association with drug dealers, but I would find it strange that he'd be writing. And he said that he's willing to provide all that information so that they can trace the money trail back to these drug dealers. But it all just seems absurd. I mean, I don't know. I mean, first of all, most people don't even write checks anymore. But he's saying his addiction went back for 20 years, but that he's just paying them by check, which is traceable.
Not true. It cannot be true. So said, what was the settlement with the nanny about? So it was the housekeeper, Marcy. And for those of you who have not been following the story as closely as Seton has, or me, I'm her underling. Housekeeper was injured and subsequently died from a trip and fall accident. And today the coroner sent a letter to SLED saying, I was never told about this death. There was no autopsy. It's put natural causes. Natural causes are not congruent with a slip and fall. I want you to investigate what happened to her, which is a big deal. Not to mention the whole money thing of where'd the settlement money go.
Right. There's that. So SLED is investigating it they're investigating it from a criminal angle. Lawyers had filed just to find out, what happened to this money. Where is it? And it could be possible. I mean, who knows? There's also all that money that was missing from the law firm that Alec worked for. So there's money missing everywhere. So I think once we follow the trail of money, we're going to get a lot of answers.
And have we heard any rumblings about life insurance on Maggie or Paul Murdaugh?
No. And that was my first question, is like, well, was there also, I mean, Alec says that he was staging the suicide to get the $10 million of life insurance. So could a life insurance, something with life insurance, also be involved with Maggie and Paul's death? We don't know. And I haven't heard any confirmation about that.
Yeah, because if a couple, one person has 10 million and the other person had nothing, that seems a little bit odd.
But usually, I mean, I know from myself personally, like we have more money on my husband just because he makes more money than me. So, I mean, it's not unusual to have more money on the person who earns more.
More is one thing. None is another thing. Because, you know, I think I have about half as much. If something happens to me, who's going to haul people to the darn doctor or stay home when they're,
that's true.
You know, with little children, or pay off a mortgage, or, you know, do all those sorts of things. So we know nothing about that, though I'm sure someone does know something about that, which is odd. So
we could also, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So we could also talk about, so there's also separate charges that were filed against Eddie Smith in Colleton County for distribution of methamphetamines and possession of marijuana. So we know for sure that he had, which are not related to this, he also has other drug connections. So there's a strong possibility in my mind that there are drug connections between Alec and Eddie. And we know that Alec actually represented him in several other lawsuits, I think a civil suit and a criminal, I think some sort of traffic something. So he had a relationship with him there, but then there's also this potential drug connection. And the other thing is Eddie's mother was distantly related. She was a Murdaugh, but they weren't like close family. And it seems like half the people there are Murdaughs.
Right. Distant relatives. So tomorrow it says bond hearing for 4 p.m. at the Hampton County Magistrate Court tomorrow afternoon. So that will be interesting. Though it's hard for me to believe anything that these attorneys are saying, honestly, at this point. Like, I would be embarrassed if I were them. I was thinking, I bet that one, you know, his wife is like, oh my God, do you have to get in the middle of this? Which brings you to the question of how many people are wrapped up in this money drug scandal? Are there, you know, it's a real question of how many people feel like they owe a favor for a favor that's been given to them.
Well, we know Fleming for sure. Their firm has a clear connection, and there's lots of rumblings amongst the legal community that, you know, there's the good old boy system is going down. Forwarded it to a couple friends, and they're like, I think maybe that might be a little exaggerated, but I think who knows with this case, because I don't think any of us could predict that it would have gotten as crazy as it has.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it could have.
I mean, did
it doesn't seem like...
Yeah, it seems just beyond. People keep telling me if this was a novel, I would have checked out because I would have thought it was unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, you would be like, well, that couldn't have happened. I think between the last week of Friday, his firm says, you're stealing money, you're out. And then Saturday, he says, oh, I got to kill myself now.
Well, and another thing his attorney said, which I thought was really kind of interesting, they were like, we've never had a talk with Alec until this weekend when they were sober. I was like, wait a second. So you're basically saying that he is, I was like, well, did he seem impaired every time you talked to him?
Right. Yeah. So they said we've never talked to Alec when he wasn't under the influence of opiates.
Right.
Well, I would just say, like, how the hell do you know if somebody's under the influence of opiates or not? I mean,
did they know? Did they know this? And then they also just then described him as, you know, he could definitely not have had anything to do with his wife and son's murder. They were very loving when they were in the office together. They were holding hands, but then he also was on opiates the whole time.
Right. I'm just not feeling it. My gut tells me is that he knew the walls were closing in and they were going to be on him. Remember, Sled had said, listen, there's no worry for the public. And you said yourself in that 911 call, he's like, this is terrible. My wife and son have been badly shot. And then he's like, can I get off the phone? I got to call some family members. And I told you, I was like, so my husband, I'm calling 911 Sunday night. He is super sick. He's in the shower. He's in and out of consciousness. And I'm talking to 911. And later that night, I was like, what if I had said to the operator, can I get off the phone with you? You know, like in that moment, she was my best friend. And it just doesn't make any sense that I needed to call anyone in that moment.
Well, he does. Yeah, I mean, it seems odd that he would get. Now, the phone call did last a really long time because they were so rural. It took police to get there. And
11 minutes.
Yeah, it took a long time, and they were on the phone. I don't know how long it took. I mean, that was how long she was on the phone with him. And what struck me though about that was he just didn't really seem fearful. I don't know if he just didn't care at that moment because his wife and son had been murdered, but he didn't seem scared. My first thought would have been like, oh my God, there's a murderer out here. Are they going to get me next?
Holy shit, there could be somebody out here about to shoot me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you'd be terrified. Honestly, I mean, that would be my theory if I went to a dark hunting camp out by some dog pens and found half my family slaughtered. I mean, you'd be terrified.
You would be scared. I mean, I would.
And then for the police to say, well, the community's not at harm. I saw that there were 2 vehicles at the scene and one they towed away. So we've never really heard anything about any of that, have we?
No, I know that they towed one and I mean, I guess Alec was driving Maggie's vehicle when this tire slashing and attempt, suicide fiasco went on. So I don't know which car was towed or why they towed that car. I mean, there would have had to have been some evidence that they thought that this was a reason for them to impound the car.
Right. Now, this is an interesting comment Carolyn just made. Why did Alec go to the dog pens and not into his house?
We don't know for sure if he did go in his house first. He could have gone in his house first and didn't see them. You do on the 911 tape hear dogs barking, so maybe he heard dogs barking and went out there to check to see what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, in my house, if I come in my house and I don't see my husband, I'm like, he's out playing tennis. I mean, I don't even think a thing about it.
But it was late, and they're in the middle of the country. I mean, and I saw reports, I think on her Facebook page that they had some theft of some farm equipment. So, I mean, they're in the middle.
And now, did they have cameras out there that weren't working? Is that true?
We don't, they have not, SLED has not released that information, so we don't know for sure. You would think on a property like that there would be cameras. I'm sure trail cameras for deer and that sort of thing. SLED did come out and say that they were requesting information from houses on that road to see if anyone had any camera footage. So we don't really have the answer because SLED has just released such limited information.
Yeah, and you wonder how Maggie and Paul ended up at the dog kennels themselves. I think there have been rumors that they were bound. That's never been formally reported.
I mean, it was reported by Trey Gowdy, kind of indicated that, but I mean, he said possibly bound. So, I mean, he was a former prosecutor and politician in South Carolina, so he may have some sort of inside information, but there's been no confirmation from SLED other than that they were out by the dog kennel. So it makes you wonder, were they led from the house to the dog kennel or exactly how that occurred? I mean, that's in my mind how it would have happened.
Right. So Robin, SLED is South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Is that what it stands for, Seton?
Yep, that's what it stands for. They're kind of like the FBI of South Carolina.
So North Carolina has the SBI. Same. Well, that's really curious. So somebody has just commented that they have issued the warrants for Alec tonight. They're done. I wonder what they are.
I think that they're going to be kind of the same thing that Smith, like insurance fraud. I mean, they charged, I don't have them right in front of me. They did charge Smith with like aggravated assault and battery, attempted murder, like. So I don't know what they're going to charge Alec with, because if they're saying that he, he hired this other person, they would definitely be charged with insurance fraud. And you would think other charges, but I guess those are to be determined.
And the son, Buster, I mean, we ain't heard pee turkey poo from him. I wonder what he's up to.
Well, Daily Mail had pictures from, I guess, last weekend, where he was kind of packing up stuff at the house at Edisto, which is another property that they owned. And so they had him out there just filmed. And I guess they tried to ask him if he wanted to talk. And of course he did not want to talk. And he had a family member there helping him pack up, which I've gotten some confirmation that was actually John Marvin's wife, who was kind of helping him pack up. And I don't know where he's going. I mean, he's probably just trying to stay out of the spotlight.
I heard somewhere about Paul being shot. And, all we know is SLED says it was a superficial wound. The attorney, who is not, to me, proven to be right on many occasions, said, there was an entry and exit wound, a brain bleed, a, skull fracture. If you left the hospital after all those injuries, like 36 hours later, then you might be like part angel. I don't know.
It doesn't seem consistent with there's definitely controversy, but that's why I tend to believe what SLED says, because you would think if you had a brain bleed, that's a hard word for me to say, and entry and exit wound, that you probably would be in the hospital for more than a day or two.
Yeah. I mean, hello. Yes. Mexico. Somebody said he's going to Mexico. Yeah. So what's he going to do now? I mean, it's really going to be curious. Like, now, do we think he'll get out on bond?
I mean, it depends on what he's charged with. I kind of think he is. Like, if he's just charged with insurance fraud, I think they're going to kind of let him out. But
now, one of our people just said, can you be charged with insurance fraud before you've actually submitted a claim? If you were planning insurance fraud, I don't know if you could do that. That's a very good point.
But that was what Smith was charged with, was attempted. So there were charges. I don't have it in front of me. I wish I did. But that was a charge that Smith did receive, attempted insurance fraud. So, I mean, if he was in charge with that, I would think Alec would definitely be charged with that as well.
Erica said, I bet he will have a head wrap on in the turn-in. Yes, we need to have like a popcorn festival, because I'm so curious I want to see this injury. Like, I want to see it, like, this is the injury.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he does have a head wrap on.
Tamaya said Eddie is going to get blamed. I hope that SLED at this point realizes that what's happening, and I hope Eddie doesn't get framed. I have a feeling that Eddie owed somebody a favor and got pulled into this thing. You never saw that Eddie was being do this, which would be, why would you be willing to someone if you weren't getting paid?
Yeah, Eddie was, but you're not probably the best guy in the world if you're agreeing to this, like, suicide deal. And even if he didn't shoot him, he was agreeing to get rid of the gun. And he also has these drug charges. I don't know if those are, he's only been charged with that, but it doesn't sound like maybe he was totally innocent in this whole endeavor.
Dealing with a full deck of cards. But if a lawyer says, you're going to help me, or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to you, to the police officers, because lawyers do have a direct cell phone line to the sheriff. I mean, they do. And that could be scary when you're probably uneducated and poor and a drug dealer. I mean, you're sort of, not that I feel like Eddie is like a saint in this deal, but I do feel for him. The locals call him fast.
He might be going down. I mean, I think they're going to try to blame this whole thing. I think that's absolutely true. Because if you listen to the Today Show interview, Harpootlian does say, he was there. He didn't try to, he went within 30 minutes of meeting him on the road. He didn't stop. He didn't question. He definitely seemed like he was trying to place the blame on Eddie.
Right, right. Well, I think that one of the biggest things to watch to me is going to be where is this settlement money for Gloria Satterfield, because that money has got to be somewhere. So nobody's going to let that go. I mean, those people have probably shat in their pants tonight trying to figure out, they're probably trying to scrounge up some money and then try to explain, well, why we had it, all this time. Anyway, that's going to be interesting.
I think Fleming's going to really be, he's definitely in the hot seat.
And it's the whole law firm and this guy who's head of Palmetto Bank. I mean, grew up in Charleston, thinks he's cute. It ain't gonna be so cute anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just really sad.
It's very sad.
And exciting.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's
if
sad.
you listen to her story, she was homeless at times, living in a hotel with her children.
And they didn't pay for her funeral.
No.
Which,
like, they list.
If you have to know your life insurance, can't you cough up $5,000 to $10,000 for a funeral? It just seems odd to me.
It seems odd because if she worked for them for 25 years, I mean, you would and helped raise their kids, you would definitely have, I would think, definitely relationship. And some of the things I've read was that Paul almost looked at her as like a motherly type figure.
So Laura just said, who I know, hi Laura, Alec's attorney says he knows who shot Maggie and Paul and plans to release that information. So suddenly, just like an epiphany, it come down to him, and now he's going to tell.
Well, he hinted at that at the Today Show. He said that they have some leads, and when the reporter asked him about motive, he said, well, it's personal. But he kind of fumbled a little bit when they asked him about that. Like, at first he said he was having some difficulty hearing. He definitely seemed to be kind of a little bit nervous about that question.
Difficulty hearing. What?
I had that too. So, I mean, it can happen.
I can't hear you. Well, I look forward to following this tomorrow and to our next update. We're so glad you're with us and not on CNN, because this is much more exciting.
Definitely. This is more my place.
Thank you for tuning in. Everybody follow Seton's podcast, The Murdaugh Family Murder Mystery, on Apple. And you put out a new episode today,
yes,
right?
Yes, new episode today. It's out tonight. And then we'll be recording another one about the Satterfield in the next day or two.
And then you're going to have to get one in on the arrest. I mean, this is all you can do.
This is, it's all consuming.
It's all consuming. And I'll just be over here, monitoring children.
All right. Well,
living vicariously through you, being excited to hear what I might find out next.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Can't wait till the next update.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye.